morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and I hope you guys are enjoying Dreamforce 2017. So let me introduce first myself. My name is Mohit Srivastava. I'm a Salesforce MVP, and I work as a technical architect at Code Science. I've been with the Salesforce platform for almost 7 years now, and been trailblazing since then. You can catch me at my Twitter handle, msrivastava13. At Code Science, what we do is we help customers to build App Exchange applications. So, we help them build, design, and help them market the solutions on, on App Exchange. So today we're going to talk about introduction to Service Cloud Snap-ins SDK for mobile. So this was introduction about myself. I have my Twitter handle, in case you have any questions after the sessions or anything related to Salesforce or anything related to the community. I'm very active in Stack Exchange community, so most of you all already know me. If you don't know me, you can browse my profile there. All right, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about, how can we bring some of the Service Cloud functionalities onto mobile, right? How many of you here don't have mobile? Raise your hands, right? Everybody is connected, right? Everybody is connected on smart devices these days. So it's important that whatever the functionality that we have today that Service Cloud provides, how do we bring all those functionalities like knowledge management, case handling all onto our mobile, right? So that's where this product Snap-ins SDK comes in. And we're going to take an example and look at, how we can, build these, How many of you are developers here? Raise your hands. Awesome. And how many of you are like admins or consultants? Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to look at, how many of you use Salesforce Service Cloud? Or, know what is Salesforce Service Cloud? All right. So for those of you who don't know, we'll talk a bit about, what is Service Cloud in Salesforce. And then, we're going to take one example, which is like live chat between an agent and a customer right from the mobile. We're going to take a look at the demo, and then we're going to talk about how did we build that demo, right? So those of you who are developers, you'll see some code here, and we're going to discuss what more we can do and what are some of the customization options with the Snap-ins SDK. All right, so before we even start, right, why is mobility very important, right? How many times we have seen, like, we want to get on a call and it is like almost 10 minutes before we connect to the agents, right? How cool it would be if, if we have a smartphone, we just click a button and we are live connected via video chat to our agents. And our agents, we can share our screen, we can show them the problem right away through the video chat, and they kind of tell us the solution on spot, right? Rather than going through all these articles, reading through what was wrong with them, right? How many of you get frustrated, I'm sure, there are a lot of people here, when you call T-Mobile or, when you call any other, like, if your air conditioner is down and you call your, reps or, your service reps and, it takes long time to connect to them. So that's where, the mobility has the power, right? Everything is in your hand. So as per Forbes, these are some of the statistics. Like 91% of the smartphone users, want to turn or use their phone for the customer support. And in fact, most of the ideation these days happen on smartphones. And also companies providing customer service via phones have definitely happier customers. So this is as per the Forbes. So let's get started to Service Cloud, Service Cloud. So those of you who don't know what Salesforce Service Cloud does, it's basically a console which puts all the information like, your agents need, like your information, like it might be your contacts, what cases you have asked them, what are the solutions that they want to give it to you, everything on one console, so that they don't have to jump between the screens. We're going to take a look at how the console looks. And what Service Cloud offers is it has inbuilt omni-channel routing. So omni-channel routing is basically a term where what Salesforce does is it provides kind of a channel, where your cases or, your tickets get automatically routed or connected to the agents with right skill, right? So you might have an organization, let's say a gaming industry, right? Like let's take an example of an Activision, right? How many of you have used Activision for your gaming, right? How many of you have played Call of Duty, right? So MW3, right? Call of Duty is different than MW3, and there might be agents who know that Call of Duty game better than MW3. So that's a specific skill for them, right? So you have to be smarter when you route your cases, right, to the right agent, so that right customer, right problem is connected to the right agents with the right skill set. Now that's an immediate need, so that your cases can be resolved, right? So that's why the omni-channel routing, what it does is it's a smart service which automatically takes care of it. Like your admins configure your skills and they match the agents with the proper skills so that it automatically gets routed. And then you have telephony integration built into it, which is your computer telephony integration, where you can log notes, you can directly take the calls, and you can log the history. So let me quickly jump over here and show you how the service console looks like, right? In both in Lightning as well as So this is a service console. It's I've used Classic here. This functionality is also available in Lightning. We can take a look at that later on. So this is a service console where you can see that you have a tabs like this, where you can navigate through different tabs, and you can open up different cases right from here. Like when I'm browsing here, I can open up this case. I can similarly click on a contact. It all opens in a sub-tab, as you see, so that you can come back and click through, and you can access all the information basically right from one place, and you don't have to jump into screens. And you'll also see an omni-channel here, right? So if I want to go online, this is the agent experience. So the agent here is online. And then we have this SOS, which is like a video chat. Whenever there is a video chat that's available, we're gonna see that. That's a screen where you start seeing, your agents are gonna start seeing this, and you can communicate directly back and forth between your customers. So this is just an introduction, or just show you what the service console looks like. And we'll jump back to the presentation. We'll come back here as we take a look at the demo in more depth. Right, so let's come back to our presentation here. All right, so let's talk about Snap-ins a bit, before we see the actual demo. What is Snap-ins, right? So Snap-ins has two parts to it. One is the web part and the mobile part. We are going to not talk about the web part. We're going to talk about the mobile part. So Salesforce Service Cloud has all these functionalities built in, right? Knowledge articles. How many of you use knowledge articles, right? So so those are the articles that show up on your customer portal. So whenever your customer is browsing through some solutions or portals, those are the articles where you can read and get the solution. Now these articles also internally help your agents, because they can contain the solution for frequently asked questions or problems. Your agents can also look at that. So this functionality is available in Classic UI, Lightning UI. And this can be exposed in your customer community. But how do we bring this, onto the mobile? What happens? How can I plug that functionality on my mobile where I can browse through all the articles, right? Similarly, the case publisher, right, where you can raise the case. How can you raise a case from the mobile? How can you do a live agent? So live agent is basically a chat functionality where you can connect to the agent right away from your mobile device and start chatting to and fro, right? So this is the functionality that we're going to take a demo of, which is SOS. So what SOS is, it's an instant chat or a live video chat between your agents and your customers, right? It's a live chat. You directly get connected to the customer. Everything happens. You can share screens. So this is the new modern way of communicating with the agent, so that you are connected right away, right? All right, let's take a demo of this, and once we take a demo of it, we'll understand how did we actually build this application. So let's actually go to the demo of it, right? So we are going to use a simulator, right? Here we're going to use a simulator. So this is so we have built an iOS application. We're going to take a look at the code later on. So basically, just to help you understand what is this application. So this is a one button click application. So this button can be on your mobile device or your iPad. This application is just single one button. I really wanted to keep it simple so that I showcase the use case of this, right? So basically, let's say I'm on my mobile, as a customer, and I want to sort of start a live session or a chat, with the agent, right? So let's look at the agent here. So the agent here is online, right? So he's waiting for any chat request that comes or any video chat that comes so that he can communicate directly back and forth, right? So let's initiate the chat. So this is a screen. Again, all these can be customized. We're going to talk about this. So this is just a pop-up that will come on your mobile phone or your iPad saying, hey, you're about to connect or browse your application with an expert, right? So, okay, got it, right? So what it's going to do is you will see that, there is a chat that's coming here. I accept it, right? Now let's see what happens. It's a video chat. We have initiated the session here, right? So this is the customer, this is the agent, right? So the same experience here, he's able to see the agent, and also, let's say I type something, right? The same thing appears here for your customer on the mobile, right? So that's the power of customer service. That's how we want to do the customer service with the platform. That just a button click from your mobile device, you're able to directly connect with the agent here. You're able to see the agent so that you can effectively communicate your problem, and then you can share your screen or you can type certain things or tell as an agent you can tell where exactly to navigate and browse through the problem. Now that's not just the thing. So let's actually end this chat, right? So let's end this chat. You want to close the chat? Yes. What happened in the background, right? So as you can see, what happened is a case got created, right? So let's close this. Okay, a case got created. Now, an agent can associate the contact. Now, if you are already authenticated using communities, the contact will auto-populate. But in this case, I want to show that even as an anonymous user or as a guest login, you can simply connect. So as you can see, the case got automatically created here. And let's look at that SOS session. So even that SOS session got recorded here, right? So let's take a look at this. So as you can see, this is like a real-time dashboard for agents to see, okay, what is the agent status, like how many of them are online. You can do some charting here. You can see the trending data, how many active sessions are there. This is all for the agent supervisor, so that they can monitor their agents closely, right? And then we have this SOS object which was created, and as you can see, it was created right now, from the Snap-ins mobile SDK. And then we also have stored the session recording in Amazon, right? So you don't want to store it in Salesforce because some storage is costly in Salesforce. So I've connected this to S3, right? So we can see this recording in S3. So this is my S3 login, right? I'm going to just refresh it here. It's going to ask me for the login. Let's log in here, right? Just give me a sec. All right, so in S3, in S3 bucket, we have stored that session, right? So as you can see, we just pointed out that URL 1F3. So this is the thing that got just stored, and now it is available as the recording where somebody like a supervisor or even an agent can just download this and store it locally or distribute or whatnot, or see the recording later on, right? So this is all built, using all these out-of-box functionalities that Salesforce provide and the Snap-ins provide. So having seen the demo, now our journey will be, okay, how did we actually build this, right? So let's take a look at, what effort does it take to actually, build this entire thing. So let's jump back to our slides now. All right, so to build this, right, there are certain things, that needs to be done both from the Salesforce perspective and also on your SDK, right? You might think that, there's a lot of code involved to build, this kind of a functionality or recorder or, live agent or whatnot, but it's actually not that complex. And that's the idea of this session, to show you that Salesforce has automatically, they have built they have done all the hard work for you. All you need to understand is where do you plug in, where do you plug and point certain things, to arrive at this functionality. All right, so first of all, to, get started, on Salesforce, Salesforce offers you a package called SOS Quick Setup, that automatically provides you all those dashboards that I was showing, right? So, in short, you have to do all these steps. I'm not going to stress on these, but in short, what you're going to do is, create omni-channels, enable all these things as an admin. What this application does is it automatically does it for you. Like there's a wizard which automatically, let's see if I can bring that application here and show it to you. So let's actually switch a context here. Yeah, so what we can do here is, Salesforce provides that automatically, that what we call it as SOS Quick Setup, right? As you can see, so this is, so, once you install this, it kind of shows you, okay, what are the features that, if your org really supports all these things, you have all the licenses purchased from Salesforce. Again, the licenses are all Service Cloud license. There is an SOS license that's a feature permission set that Salesforce will add on. And then you create all the objects that you need. And again, the creation is automated. Like, you can manually do it, but this package automatically does for you. So you just, create your permission sets, just configure this, say magically click that button, create. It automatically uses the metadata API behind the scenes to create all these things. And then, it gives you a set of instructions on, okay, what you need to do, in your application, right? There are certain domains that you need to whitelist, so that, the live agent domain and the SOS instant domain that Salesforce uses it. So, Salesforce gives you all those instruction set here. So you can take a look at that. As an admin, it's super simple. You just go and, make sure you add all these configuration in your organization. And then, page layout configuration, right? So there is an automated trigger that's been built in, right? So that the case is automatically created as soon as, a SOS or a live chat is initiated. So there are some custom settings that this package provides. You go and configure that. And, once you have that, Salesforce gives you 3 important things here. One is, the org ID, the SOS deployment ID, and the agent endpoint. So these 3 parameters we're going to use in our mobile app. So this is how the mobile app is recognizing which Salesforce instance to connect to and which org to connect to, and what is the SOS configuration that it must connect to. So that is all by this ID, right? So basically once you kind of select that, Salesforce can give you all those information. So this is, once you enable live agent and all these things, you'll find all the hostname and other stuff. So this is about the quick setup. Again, you can manually do it, or this application automatically does all these setup for you. So as an admin also, so you don't have to do it. So there is an SOS setting where you can also choose where to record your sessions. So let me show you that as well. So let's actually switch to classic experience so that we can see certain admin features better. Some features are still getting built in Lightning. So SOS deployment. So this is where we created that deployment, where we said, okay, what type of configuration that we want, right? If you want, you can disable the camera or enable back cameras, and then it asks for certain things from your Amazon, like your session recorder storage provider, which is your S3, and then your API secrets and other things, so that it can automatically connect to the Amazon and store all your recordings. So this is all out of box, like it's not it's not custom built, right? So that's the point here, that everything is out of box. Just use whatever the things that Salesforce provides. So this is the admin part of it, right? The configuration that is required. It can be done by your Salesforce administrators. Everything is straightforward, and there are a lot of options. Like you can read through the documentation. There are certain things small things that you can customize, depending on your org and your need. Okay, now to the developer part of it, right? How did we build this iOS application? Again, as a developer, so I'm not an iOS developer, by the way. I'm a Salesforce developer. I've never built any iOS application. This was my first application. So, you can imagine that I was like, okay, this is going to be very difficult. I'm going to spend nights. But once I kind of got started doing this, you won't believe me, it was like 30 minutes and I was done with everything here. So that's the thing I'm going to show you, like, how easy it is, how simplified that Salesforce has made, to kind of build all these kind of things. So let's look at the tools that are used, before even we dive in. So again, this Snap-ins SDK is not just for your iOS. There is an Android SDK as well that Salesforce provides. I'm using the iOS version of it. So, you can use Xcode 9 and Xcode IDE that automatically comes with your Mac. It requires certain setup, but everything is straightforward. And then the language, I choose Swift 3. I think Swift 4 is the latest. The SDK supports only Swift 3 and Objective-C. I didn't want to dig into Objective-C. The reason why I choose Swift 3 was because Swift 3 is it's built on MVC. So if you have worked with Salesforce Visualforce pages or Lightning components, they're all based on this MVC paradigm where, you have a model, view, and a controller. So you can hook all these three up to make your application. So Swift 3 is also based on the same paradigm, right? So you clearly have your view layer and your, controller, and then you can hook both those things to make it work. So we're going to take a look at that. So we're going to use Swift 3, and we're going to use Service Cloud Snap-ins SDK for mobile. So we're going to see where exactly Salesforce hosts that Snap-ins SDK, and then, to simulate this, we are using Xcode inbuilt simulator. Now this is just a simulation. Again, you can just, package this up and push it onto your devices as well, or even to your App Store or Apple Store. You can do that as well. So let's look at SDK installation, right? SDK installation. What Salesforce has done is they have provided this nice site for Snap-ins Mobile, which carries all the information. Basically, I took a lot of information for this presentation from here. So, but this is like a very elaborate guide where they have, the release notes, the SDK documentation, where you can download the SDK, latest SDK, both for iOS and Android. And, they have explained everything, like how you can build knowledge, how you can configure for knowledge, how you can do for cases, live agent, SOS. So in this one, we just took the SOS example, but the same process applies for all of these, all of these functionalities if you want to really bring in, into your mobile, or you want to build an application and have these service functionalities integrated into that particular mobile experience, right? So you can download it. So they have latest iOS version. So you can download it via two different means. One obviously is more for developers. If you are already used to command lines, Cocoa Pods is the dependency manager, just like how you have, import statements for Java or CLIs for other languages. iOS uses Cocoa Pods. So there are specific set of instructions in the guide. You just have to execute these commands, and that will automatically install all the SDK and your file and folder structure for you. But, if you want to do it manually, and that's how I did it. What I did is I went to this Snap-ins mobile SDK page and downloaded that. Right, and then imported that actually. So if you look at my project, so this is my project folder, right? All these things like, hybrid SDK framework, React framework, core, Smart Store, Smart Sync, analytics, SOS framework. All these things, some of them have dependencies. So if you want to, use like analytics into your application, that's where you can use Salesforce Analytics. If you want to do offline, you use Smart Store Sync, right? So these are the core frameworks that are available, and you can one by one import everything, or you can just import whatever you need. In this case, probably I think I would have been good if I would have imported Salesforce SDK core and Service SOS, because that's what I'm using. But there are, I just wanted to import everything because you can really use everything up here. So once you kind of have this, right, one of the files that you need to modify. Now everything, so like app delegate.swift, right? So this thing is automatically provided by Salesforce. right? So this is automatically provided by Salesforce. We are not doing anything here, like we are not even touching one line of the code here. So all that we will need to worry about is in all these 4 functionalities is one file, which is viewcontroller.swift file, right? So here is where we have like 2 or 3 functions. We just need to understand the developer guide and just import that, and then all your functionality is almost ready. You don't have to kind of do it. So for the UI, again, so the UI in iOS is used, we use something called a storyboard. Storyboard is basically where you kind of have different sketches and boxes where you can drag and drop if you need buttons or whatnot. If you're an iOS developer, you're familiar with that. If you're not, simply understand that it's a canvas with lot of other layouts and buttons and coloring and stuff like that, where you can drag and drop things and change stuff. Right. So let's actually come back to the viewcontroller.swift file. So viewcontroller.swift file, again, the entire code that is here is automatically provided by Salesforce. If you go look at their developer guide, they'll give you everything. You don't have to understand, or even, you'll start understanding. Once you kind of go there and, just play around, you kind of pretty much understand what, each function does. At high level, what you do is you instantiate this SOS options object, where you say, okay, which is the pod, live agent pod that I need to connect to, which is the org ID, and what is my deployment ID of the SOS. So all this is the config that you need, and then you have certain parameters. We're going to discuss that later on, as we proceed. And then you have some switch statements where you can say, okay, what happens? What is the message that I want to give when the session got failed, or when there is a session error? Other ways, there are certain things like, what is the message you want to give when the session gets ended, and things like that. And everything else, all these UI options, we're going to talk about that in detail in another slide here, like what are these options. So basically everything is customizable as well. So that's what one of the things that I want to highlight as we proceed. So as you can see, to bring any of those functionalities that Snap-ins provide, you just import all those things, and then once you kind of import that, you have everything up there, and then you instantiate the objects, and you're pretty much set, and you build. So this is the thing where you say build, you build it, and then your simulator automatically starts, and you can start, debugging or, doing this. So let's actually run here. So we covered this manual installation. We covered this, right? So it's very simple. All you need to do is understand certain functions, like start SOS is one of the functions where you need to configure your live agent pod, org ID, and the deployment ID, and then you start your session there. So we talked about the code deep dive. Now let's talk about like the customization options, right? What are the different customization options that we have here, right? So we have certain options here, like you can configure retry mechanism, camera settings, you can do network test. You can also, change the appearance. Like if I want to, what happens if I don't want to use the UI, right? Which you just saw when I initiated the session, right? What happens if I want to change the color of that, right? So to do that, there are configurations that are provided, right? So as you can see in this slide, so all these things like that, the pop-up that came up when we initiated the session, all these things are customizable here. Like, the icons, everything is exposed as a property. So, you can go to that, and there are variables. You can just configure those variables. Developer guides talks in clear detail about those variables. And, basically, if I look at my code here on my Xcode here, so as you can see here, right? So we have all these options here, where we just have to enable these options and build it again, and those things are configurable. So even the whole UI that you saw there, so this was like a standard UI, right? This UI that came up when I initiated my agent chat. So everything here, like you can have your own logo, you can have your own messages, you can have your own button text, you can have your own fonts and stuff. Everything can be customizable here, depending on your branding, basically. So let's, so we have, I think this is a good introduction. We have some time left. I think it's 11 minutes where we can take some questions and, answer if you have any. If you have any more questions here. Any questions from anyone? Have anyone tried this thing before? Snap-ins SDK? How many of you knew that there's something like this? Awesome.
Does web to case work for this?
Okay, so the question is, does the web to case work for this? Yes, so the answer here is yes. So Snap-ins SDK, as I said, let's take a look at what the Snap-ins SDK provides, right? So the functionalities, the core 4 functionalities that Salesforce exposes at this point is knowledge, case management, live agent, and SOS. So yes, the case management functionality will give you a publisher, where you can, configure, okay, what are the fields that you need for your web to case, and based on that, once you kind of create it from your mobile, the case automatically gets created in Salesforce. And because say after that you can configure your process builder, to do your assignment rules, and you can run all your support based on that, support cycle, configure milestones, entitlements, and all these Service Cloud functionalities on top of that case. Any other question on this? Yeah, please. Okay, so the question is, can we package everything like, as a managed package and deploy it, can we package this as a managed package, host it on ISV App Exchange? That's your question. Yeah, so all the functionalities that you have in Service Cloud, you can do it because it's on the platform, right? So you create a package, you add all the components, and you can certainly, package it up. But all the the iOS functionalities, again, you build that code, and then there is a way in Swift 3 where you can package that as a bundle or a module, and then plug it onto your device and test it, and then you can submit that. Of course, you can submit that to Apple for the security review, and that gets hosted on the Apple Store. That's correct. Any other questions from anyone? Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so iOS, what it does, in the Swift 3, there are things like, what you can do really is you can build a form or a web page, or let's say a, post-install page where, once you kind of have the app, the first thing that it asks is, your deployment ID, your URL. So the URL is obviously fixed for your prod, and even your org ID is fixed, right? So all that is differing is the deployment ID, right? So you can provide certain options there, like some kind of a setting where you have multiple options, where you kind of store that in the Smart Sync, or you can use the Smart Sync or a local DB that Swift 3 provides or iOS provides, and store that information there, based on the user input, and from there you can get started. That's the other way. Pretty much for the production app, everything will be fixed, right? You understand that, for the production app, everything, you know your org ID, your live agent pod, your SOS, setting, right? So most of the time it's fixed, but you can make it configurable with all the, the Swift language options, or even for Android, with your Java, whatever the Java and the Smart Sync library that Salesforce provides. Any other questions from anyone? We still have 7 minutes. Yeah, please.
Could the agent also be using the mobile app? Would it be possible to have both the customer and the agent?
Yeah, so the question is, can there be like a two-way communication, which is like, can agent also start sharing their screens and stuff? Yes, so the answer is yes. I mean, if you look at the configuration guide, they provide all those options, so all those configuration options. So I think I was talking about this, let's see. So yeah, I think there is a parameter, to do that, which kind of do this two-way video chat. So, there's a parameter where you can say two-way video chat. It's just that you can't simulate via the simulator. Like, I have this app. I just ported that app on my iPad to check how it works with the two-way. So I ported with different configurations, and yes, you can do that two-way where, the agent can also start sharing their screen, or, start sharing their camera, both,